ever feel like you're just spinning your wheels learning to code? You're going through tutorial after tutorial, but you never really feel like you can actually, build anything on your own.
Yeah, I know that feeling. It's like you're stuck.
Exactly, like completely stuck.
It's so common, though, that it actually has a name.
Oh, really? What is it?
It's called tutorial hell.
Tutorial hell. Okay, I like that. I unfortunately know it all too well, and that actually leads us right into what we're diving into today, which is, you guessed it, tutorial hell. We've got these 3 articles from Algo Academy, and they promise to break us free.
Well, what I thought was interesting is that they don't actually try to teach you specific code. What they try to do is teach you how to think like a programmer, which is, I think, pretty cool.
Yeah, that is interesting. So it's less about throwing syntax at you and more about the actual mindset and problem-solving skills.
Yeah, exactly. And they actually make a really good analogy in one of the articles. I think it's called the smooth ascent. They say that learning to code the wrong way is like trying to climb a 15-story building from the outside.
Oh, okay. So you're scaling the building.
Yeah, like Spider-Man or something. But you're not Spider-Man.
Right. Definitely not Spider-Man. And yeah, that does not sound like a recipe for success.
No, not at all. And they're saying on the other hand, just trudging up 15 flights of stairs, that's not much better either, right?
No, it's exhausting.
Yeah, exactly. And are you even sure why you're going up there in the first place?
Okay, yeah, I can see where they're going with this. So is Algo Academy, are they like the elevator in this scenario? The easy way up?
Exactly. They want to be the elevator, smoothly taking you up to the top, one floor at a time.
So it's like they're taking something potentially overwhelming and intimidating, this idea of learning to code, and they're breaking it down into these digestible steps.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things they talk about, which I think is really, really important, is understanding the why behind the code, not just the how.
Oh, that's so important. Trying to learn anything by just memorizing it never really works.
Never.
It's like, that classic example of sleeping with a textbook under your pillow before a test.
Yeah, total myth.
Yeah, it doesn't actually work. And it's the same thing with code, right? You could just copy and paste code from a tutorial, maybe get it to technically work, but that doesn't mean you actually understand it.
It's not real learning, yeah.
So how do they help you bridge that gap? How do you move from just copying code to actually understanding it?
So one of the things that they say, and this is something that I think is so key, is that syntax, the actual language, that's just the very tip of the iceberg. They actually say it's only 5% of what makes a good programmer.
Wait, 5%, that's it. So what's the other 95%? What am I missing?
That other 95%, it's all about logic and problem solving and being able to break down a complex problem into smaller steps. It's that whole idea of thinking like an engineer, not a code monkey.
Right. So it's not enough to just know the language. You need to know how to use it to actually build something.
Exactly. And that's where that other 95% comes in. And that's really what Algo Academy is all about, teaching you that problem-solving mindset.
Okay, so I'm sold. Problem-solving mindset, that's what it's all about. But, how do you actually get there? How do you actually cultivate that? How does Algo Academy propose we do that?
Well, it seems like they've got a few key ingredients. One thing that they mention over and over is data structures and algorithms.
Ah, the building blocks.
Yeah.
So it's not just okay, here's Python, go build an app. They're taking it a layer deeper.
Exactly, yeah. And one of the articles, I think it was Don't You Wish Learning to Code Was Easier? They specifically talk about how Algo Academy emphasizes understanding the why before the how. So why you would use a certain data structure, why you would use a linked list versus an array to solve a particular problem.
So it's about giving you that foundational knowledge that you can then apply across any programming language, really.
Yes, exactly. It's if you're learning the principles of architecture, once you understand the principles, you can apply those to building a skyscraper or, a tiny home.
That's good price.
The concepts are the same.
Yeah, the concepts are the same. Okay, so understanding the why, that makes a lot of sense. But that's only part of it, right? How do they actually go about teaching it in a way that sticks?
Right. So remember that whole smooth elevator ride analogy?
Yeah.
That's kind of how they've designed their entire curriculum, right? So each concept builds on the last one, so you're constantly building that foundation as you go.
Okay, I see how that works. So we've talked a little bit about, the what and the why. Let's talk about the how. What are some of the specific tools and features and, I guess, approaches that they're using to make this happen?
Okay, sure, yeah. Well, the first thing is they ditched the static textbook.
It's gone.
No more sleeping with a textbook under your pillow. They're all about these interactive tutorials where you're actually writing code as you go.
Oh, okay. So it's very hands-on.
Very hands-on. Learning by doing.
Yeah, I like that.
And if you get stuck, they have this AI-assisted learning system built in. So it's kind of like having a digital tutor right there with you.
Okay, so no more Googling error messages for hours on end.
Oh, well, hopefully not.
That's fantastic. I love that.
It could be a lifesaver for sure.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think the thing that really brings it all home is that they really emphasize project-based learning.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just like these abstract concepts. You're actually building real things.
Exactly, yeah. Building things that you would actually use in the real world.
So it's that bridge, right, between the theoretical knowledge and the practical application of it.
Exactly. And they don't just throw you in the deep end, right? They're right there with you, providing guidance, answering questions, and they also have this really great online community so you can connect with other people who are learning.
Oh, nice.
So you got support.
So there's that sense of community as well, which I imagine is so important when you're learning something new.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially something as potentially challenging as coding. Okay, so we've talked a lot about, the how of Algo Academy, how they're approaching this problem. But for someone listening who maybe, has experienced tutorial hell firsthand, what would you say is like the key takeaway here? Like, why should they care? What makes this different?
At the end of the day, it seems like what Algo Academy is really trying to do is teach you how to really understand code, not just like how to copy it.
Right, to actually internalize those concepts.
Exactly, so that you can, not just survive, but really thrive as a programmer.
And that actually makes me think about that statistic we were talking about earlier that, syntax is only 5% of what makes a good programmer. It's almost like they're saying, let us help you unlock the other 95%.
Yes, 100%. And that other 95 that's thinking like a programmer. Right. Which, that kind of problem-solving mentality, that's useful no matter what you do.
Totally. Yeah. It's like you always say, it's not just about learning to code. It's about learning how to learn.
Yeah.
And those skills, you can apply those to anything.
Exactly.
Whether it's, learning a new language or a musical instrument or even just like, I don't know, figuring out how to fix something in your house.
Right.
It's all problem solving at the end of the day.
Yeah. It all comes back to that.
Okay. So as we're wrapping up this deep dive into escaping tutorial hell, I'm curious for you, what's like the one thing you want our listeners to take away from this conversation?
That's a good question. I guess I would say if you're feeling lost or you're feeling frustrated, don't give up.
Yeah.
Like there's a better way to learn this stuff. You don't have to be stuck in that cycle of just memorizing code.
Right. There's a way to do it where you actually understand what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can, not just consume code, but you can create it.
Oh, I like that. Create, not just consume.
Yeah.
That should be like the tagline for this whole episode.
I like it.
Well, on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive today.
I think so, yeah.
We did it. We escaped tutorial hell. To all our listeners out there, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next episode.